Couple seconds so all of the platforms are live. Okay, we are here today with John Haberstroh and his Access highlight team, his his Access team, and today we are highlighting kind of what they do. But before we get into that, I would like to quickly introduce SASA, as we always do with these streams. So my name is Marcus McGann. I will be hosting today. Um, so, what is SASA? SASA stands for the Save Ancient Studies Alliance, and our mission is to reverse the current downward trend in the study of the ancient world by engaging the public and bringing together students and scholars to share their passion for the study of the ancient world in order to inspire a vast new generation of students. Where can you find SASA? SASA is pretty much all over. We are on almost every single platform. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and even LinkedIn. All right. So during this live stream, we would like to remind you of the protocol, just to be kind and respectful, to listen and ask thoughtful questions throughout the event. We will reserve a little bit of time at the end for questions. So if you have any questions, make sure to just throw them over in the chat. And please be patient with technology, because sometimes we do have a little bit of technological issues, so bear with us. And the SASA live events are streamed on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And the recordings will be posted on any of these platforms that I just mentioned. And we also want to remind everyone to have fun, and please ask questions if you have any. So one last reminder, if you do like the content that SASA is producing, such as our Archeo Gaming, our book clubs, or any of our reading groups, please consider becoming a SASA supporter with a reoccurring monthly donation. For as little as $3 a month, you can help us save ancient studies, and you can do this by going to saveancientstudies.org/donate. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce the Access team. This is John Haberstroh, the leader.
Hi, everyone. So my name is John Haberstroh. I am currently an assistant professor in residence of ancient world history at UNLV in Las Vegas, in Nevada. And I've been with SASA since the very earliest days of SASA. I was the first person to ever sign up for the newsletter of this brand new organization, which was then known as the Save Ancient Studies in America. So we had the same acronym, but a different name. And so so I was basically volunteer number one after I had signed up for that newsletter. And so I've been leading the Access team now for about 2.5 years or so. And I led the first reading groups that ever happened in summer of 2020 when this organization basically first started. So it's my pleasure to be with you all and to hear to share a little bit more about what we do on the Access team. So I'll just toss it to Summer, one of our excellent interns. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I am actually a student at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas as well. I am currently majoring in history with kind of the broad concentration in world history, but that means that I get to actually take ancient studies classes. I'm actually enrolled in Dr. Haberstroh's ancient studies class, and it's called Sports and Antiquity. It's really interesting. And yeah, I joined the Access team as an intern back in January. So I've been here for a couple months, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far.
Awesome.
Great. And Shruti, do you want to just introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, this is Shruti Sharma. I'm from India and I recently am about to graduate and I'm doing a history major from University of Delhi. And I also have particular interest in ancient studies. That's why I joined as an intern at SASA. And yeah, so I've been working with the Access team from January, just like Summer.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on this live stream so we can learn more about what you guys do. I just have a a handful of questions that I would like to ask you so people out there can kind of understand more what you guys do. So the first question I have for you guys, or this can be whoever wants to answer, what is your background with ancient studies, and how did that encourage you to join SASA?
Summer, you look like you're ready to say.
Yeah, sure. So again, like I mentioned before, I have a background in history as a history major. I don't have a super extensive background specifically within ancient studies. And I think it's really been exciting to finally actually have an ancient studies professor within UNLV. So that's kind of been my experience within ancient studies as a field. But I kind of think that's what's nice about SASA is that we do definitely include people that have a very extensive background in ancient studies, and we need those people. But I think what's also nice is that we really try to include people that are really just interested in the field in general and may not have as extensive as a background, but really just have that interest.
Awesome, awesome. What about you, Shruti?
Yeah, so in India, it's kind of different. Like for our bachelor's program, we have to study all the three domains for like ancient, medieval, and modern history. So I did study my ancient studies for like Indian history specifically and world history so far. And so that's how I like kind of got interested into ancient studies. And yeah, so that's about it. And also like for doing a specialization in the ancient studies, you have to enroll into a master's program. So that's how like I thought maybe if I intern at SASA, it would give me an edge like in future if I pursue a master's degree.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So, my background, I stumbled upon the ancient world by accident. I started off as a history major too when I was an undergraduate. Was it like 15 years ago? It seems like forever. But yeah, I originally started to study kind of U.S. history, colonial period, and things like that, and then I took a class on ancient Greece and kind of got stuck. It's been quite a journey ever since. And one thing that really hooked me with ancient studies and classics and whatnot was some study abroad experiences that I had as an undergraduate, going to Greece and to Turkey and to Italy, and kind of seeing some of these places that I read about. It just kind of brought it to life. And so I feel like it's my duty now to kind of pass that on to the public, and as best as I can, by making things simply more accessible, right? And letting the public know that like anyone can do this, and it's just a matter of like having the right tools at the right time.
Right, right. And so, what kind of tools do you think it is that what tools does SASA have that make accessibility more, available to people that aren't as involved in ancient studies?
Yeah. So I'd like to have our interns talk about some of the projects that they've been working on, and I'll just kind of start things off real quick. So the first major project that the Access team started, and this was about probably 2 years ago or so, maybe a little more. We started to collect a database of online resources for the study of ancient studies. So basically, we've been collecting so far over 1,300 websites of everything ranging from research databases to texts, online texts and translations, virtual museum tours, digital humanities projects, resources that help with you learning ancient languages, dictionaries, and what else. So a whole bunch of different things that are freely accessible online. So we're like doing the hard work of compiling all these things and putting them into one place. And so you can go to the Save Ancient Studies website, and you can access this database freely. and it's keyword searchable. So if you are looking for something related to ancient Egypt, right, put in some keywords and you'll see kind of what we've collected related to ancient Egypt. If you're interested in museums and conservation, right, we have websites related to that as well. So there's a whole host of different topics and things that you can find on this online resources database. And we do continually update it. And I'm hoping that it'll get a fresh kind of facelift here in the next couple of months in terms of the user interface, and it'll be a little more friendly, I think. And so and to all of you listening out there, if you have projects that you know about or websites that you use that you think are super great and helpful, and accessible, you can send me an email, or you can actually, there's a Google form that's linked on the online resources database, where you can just input that website, and we'll receive it and be able to kind of update our database. So that's a little bit about the online resources database. And I'll turn things over to Shruti, who can tell us a little bit about our archaeological translations project.
All right, and just really quick, sorry, Devonin. For everyone watching at home, we do have a QR code that can help you navigate to the archaeological terms and translations database. It's just right up here on the screen. You just have to scan it with your camera. Sorry, go ahead, Shruti.
Right. So for the archaeological translations project that we are basically doing is that we are like translating particular archaeological terms. For example, could be for numismatics or plants and things like that into the native languages of different countries. For example, if I'm from India, I have been working on translating from English to Hindi, or if someone is from Middle East or any other intern has been translating into Arabic or say Chinese or Japanese, like that. So that's how it has been working. And so far, like recently, we've also been translating the definitions of the same words so that it could be easily accessible and readable to those who are not able to like understand those terms in English. That's all.
Awesome. Yeah, accessibility is the goal right there. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, and we have these lists of these, some very kind of jargon, very technical terms, right? And we're translating them. So far, we have 4 languages published of these lists on our website, including modern Greek, German, French, and Italian. And Shruti has been working real hard on getting Hindi ready for us, and we're hoping to publish that next month sometime, as well as Japanese, Arabic, and Spanish. So if you have a language out there, folks, that you speak and would love to access some of these resources, just let us know, or help or volunteer with us, so that we can continue this and expand our translation efforts.
Awesome. Maybe we can get Klingon in there or something cool like
that. Yeah, for sure.
All
and
right.
Summer, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the Where to Study Ancient Studies project?
Yeah, so the Where to Study Ancient Studies project is also this type of database. It collects information on different universities around the US and around the world that actually have an ancient studies program. And the goal with this is for people across the world to be able to kind of use this database to see what ancient studies programs are really near them. So there's quite a bit of information you can find. I'm not sure if it's up yet, but yeah, we look forward to really having that open to the public.
Awesome. All right. And then I did have a couple more questions for you guys that are not specifically related to the databases. So, so any one of you guys can chime in on this. But what was something that drew you guys to SASA, the Save Ancient Studies Alliance, as an organization?
Yeah, I'll let Shruti or Summer chime in.
Right. So, for me particularly, it was basically like my college senior. She was a research intern at SASA, and that's how I got interested in the organization, and also like uh, humanities as a subject, and also like ancient studies has been looked down upon, especially these years. So that's why like I wanted to work and contribute in my field, and maybe yeah, that's how I wanted others also to like encourage, and even my juniors, like I've been encouraging them to apply here and contribute to the organization. That's all.
Awesome, awesome.
Right. And for me, I really love history. That's why I wanted to study it in college. And I know that there's kind of this general viewpoint that history education really isn't necessary, especially with the rise of STEM. And I still think there's a lot of relevancy about history education, and I don't think it necessarily has to be viewed as something separate from STEM. And what I think really drew me to the Safe Ancient Studies Alliance is how many different teams there are, and how it's really cool to see how ancient history is really integrated within these different projects and teams. I remember seeing the Archeo Gaming kind of project and thinking that was super cool. And we also I've also seen throughout my time here how different teachers and people that are just interested in ancient studies have integrated ancient history and STEM. And so kind of seeing how these fields really overlap and people that are really invested with saving ancient studies was what drew me.
Yeah, the passion over here was definitely there. That was what drew me here as well. So, all right, John, what about you?
Yeah, so I learned about SASA while I was in my graduate PhD program, and I was kind of getting towards the end of writing my dissertation and getting things kind of lined up. And I've always been thinking about the role of humanities education and kind of like what is the point of what we're doing here, and so I think it's something that ancient studies fields have not necessarily adapted to very well. As Summer mentioned, I think in the United States in particular, I think the humanities and arts are kind of losing out to this notion that STEM is like the answer to all of our problems, right? And I just reject that notion, and for reasons I can explain later and elsewhere. But so I think again, the humanities fields, ancient studies fields, have not necessarily done a good job in responding to this idea, and so it's really upon us. I think those who are in the fields, our professors, our researchers, the people who are publishing in these things and talking about ancient studies. It's our job to make this accessible. It's our job to remind folks that anyone can do this, and that it's not some type of elitist privileged thing, that like and literally anyone can study ancient studies, and it's our job to make it completely accessible. So when SASA got started, I thought this is a new organization, and there's a lot of opportunity here to make a difference. And that's in my own small little way, I hope that I am making a difference here. And the other thing I'll say is that I've been just kind of blown away by is SASA's ability to reach a global audience, which is just really impressive. And I've worked with interns. Summer is in Las Vegas where I am, but Shruti's all the way in India. I've had interns from Croatia, from Argentina, from Italy, right? So I've had the opportunity to meet people from all over the world who are just as passionate and just as interested. And that's a real special thing. And not many organizations can say that they do something at that scale.
Right. Yeah, I don't even have a background in ancient studies, but when I read like SASA's mission statement, it just like pulled me in because I can tell that there's a real effort here to make a difference and make ancient studies more prominent in in the public eye. So the next question I have, this one is more towards you, John. Why did you choose to lead? You might have talked a little bit about this already, but why did you choose to lead the Access team?
Yeah, so when SASA was a new organization, we were kind of figuring out what we have to do and trying to get ourselves organized. And my interests have always been in kind of making ancient studies accessible and relevant to my students who I've taught. And so David, our executive director and founder, really put me in charge of kind of all things accessibility, because I think this is kind of where my passion lies, and I think that, again, anyone can do this. Anyone can engage with this material. It's just about how accessible can we make it for them, right? Can we lower the bar, right? Not in terms of quality or anything like that, but just like, how do we just remove barriers, right? Removing barriers is probably a better way of saying it. So, I think that's why I'm kind of most interested here in this realm of SASA.
So real quick, what do you think are some of the largest barriers, as you just mentioned, to people getting engaged in ancient studies?
Yeah, I think there's a few. And accessibility as a concept, right, can be quite broad, and include lots of different things. But the kind of biggest ones that I see, first and foremost, is financial. Like, the financial barriers to studying ancient studies is real. Most people think that they have to go to college in order to study these things, which in some ways, yes, you should do that, right? It's always good to study with someone who's an expert, who can guide you and mentor you. But at the same time, right, I recognize that not everyone is in a position to do that, or even wants to, right? So that shouldn't stop you from studying ancient Roman philosophy or ancient Egyptian archaeology, right? Like, you can do it on your own, right? I think it's our job to allow folks to study these things on their own, if that's what they choose, right? To be a lifelong learner, right? And one of the coolest things about the reading groups that SASA puts on is, again, you get people of all ages and all backgrounds coming to these things, and it's really cool to see. And so it's just a matter of, so if financial barriers is an issue, right, there are plenty of free online resources, for example, that can help you. And so by putting it into one place to make it convenient for the public is kind of what we hope to do. Again, other barriers include, there's always the issue of, just kind of linguistic barriers. There are accessibility barriers for our friends and colleagues with disabilities, right? So there's ways that we can publish our material that is accessible, so that all people, regardless of their abilities, can engage with these with anything ancient studies related, right? So anyways, I could go on and on.
Well, you definitely answered the question, but and you also answered my next question, which was, what does your team do? But so tell me, what is your favorite? Do you guys have a favorite project that you guys have worked on so far? Obviously, all of the things that you guys do is super important, but do you guys have one that was maybe more fun than the other, or anything that you really, really enjoyed in the past?
There's one project that we're still working on at the moment, which is the upcoming virtual conference. The Access team is holding kind of this workshop on affordability and accessibility, which is kind of what we just talked about. And in that, we're trying to engage with the public to try to come up with and find different ways that we can make ancient studies a lot more affordable. I feel like as a student, I've seen how, in terms of money, it can be really hard to get access to a lot of the resources and a lot of the information that's really cool in ancient studies. And so I think it's really interesting, and it will be very interesting to have this type of conversation on how we can really fix that.
Well, thank you for that. that. And why do you guys think it's important for SASA to have an access team?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So yeah, it's super important that accessibility is kind of at the forefront of what SASA does, because again, of this popular perception that classics or ancient history or archaeology are kind of these elitist fields, right? And historically that has been the case, right? And so it's up to us to kind of undo some of that, and again, just engage the public. Everyone in the public can do this. So accessibility. We at SASA, right? Accessibility is a major pillar of what SASA does, right? With if ancient studies are not accessible, then the mission of SASA is unachievable, right? So it's really for me, it's a cornerstone of the whole project here.
Awesome. And how does the access team work with other teams at SASA?
So I can speak again about the virtual conference. I've had to work very close with the communications team, as you probably know, Marcus, because we really do need to get word out about our actual events and our workshops. And so I think working with the communications team was very key to that. So yeah.
Yep. So yeah, if anyone at home doesn't know, I work on the communications team, and we're pretty much in charge of helping disseminate the information from the other departments, including the access team. So if you guys ever have any posts that are, if you ever have any conferences or meetings that you're scheduled to go to on SASA, at SASA, please share them on your social media so as many people can see them as possible. So the next question I have for you guys is, do some teams at SASA work closer than others? Obviously the communications team does work pretty closely with you guys, but are there any other teams that you guys see yourself working with more on a daily basis?
Yeah, so a lot of what we do, especially in terms of the online resources database, is we work with the outreach team at SASA. So again, there's always this kind of the kind of public face of SASA is always trying to reach out to different groups and organizations who are doing great things, right? And we kind of see ourselves as a platform to kind of elevate the work of other scholars, of other project managers, and kind of digital humanities endeavors, right? And so by giving them a platform here, we can elevate them. And then when they make cool websites, we can put them on our database, and we can kind of cross promote everything. So everyone kind of wins, with in terms of outreach. Summer mentioned the communications team, right? We're always trying to engage the public with anything related to ancient studies, and our social media teams, just a shout out to them. They do fantastic work, and they're always on top of it, and they make us look really good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And so if you guys were speaking to someone that was interested in volunteering at SASA, what would you say to them? Yeah.
Yeah, Shruti, why don't you take this one?
So I believe that as my senior really helped me like getting into SASA, like she did encourage me, and she used to tell me how she's been working on her projects, basically the research projects, and that's how I like got interested, and that's what I would like to share it with my juniors as well. Like on a daily basis, we do talk about a lot of internships and all of that. So I believe that for the accessibility that we have at SASA and the kind of exposure that we get here is something that I would want my juniors also to experience, and that's how I've been like sharing the interning projects and everything with them. So that's
Awesome. Thank you. Right. Now, any of you guys can answer this. but what is your favorite part of working with SASA?
My favorite part of working with SASA, which is this is kind of something that we were talking about before, but that's really working with people not just all across the U.S., but really all across the world. I've been working on different projects as an intern, and sometimes that means collaborating with people in the States, but it also means getting a lot of new perspectives from people outside of the U.S. And so I think it's super amazing to be able to connect on such a wide scale with such a diverse array of people.
I 100% agree with you there. I get to meet some very cool people here at SASA. All right. Now I would like to take this time to give you guys kind of the floor to speak about anything that you guys are involved with that you think the people at home should know about. So, is there anything else you guys would like to mention before we go ahead and conclude the interview?
Yeah, I guess I'll just take this opportunity to reiterate, how important it is that if you are interested in ancient studies, to just do it, and there shouldn't be anything that holds you back if it's what you're interested in. And SASA, the folks at SASA are really just so wonderful, and it's such a privilege to know and work with so many dedicated people who are working, again, around the clock, around the world, in all their time zones, constantly doing things to support SASA and to engage the public. So I just want to again underscore the significance of that.
I couldn't agree more. All right. Well,
I think Shruti, go ahead and.
So I just wanted to say that in India, especially the humanities students do not get these kind of opportunities to collect globally, like with students abroad. So I believe that SASA is providing that particular like field, like the students to encourage and also interact with students globally. So that's what we have not been experiencing here. And so yeah, SASA gives that opportunity like to connect with students. So that's how like I really appreciate it for that. So
That's great.
yeah, that is great. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the live stream today and being able to talk about what it is you guys do and how you make ancient studies more accessible to everyone at home. So thank you so much. And before we go, I just want to remind everyone that you can become a reoccurring donor for as little as $3 a month. You can help us at SASA. So please scan the QR code if you'd like to donate. And my name is Marcus McGann. I was your host today. Thank you guys for thank everyone at home for tuning in. And yeah, have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.